So in this video, we're looking at QuickBooks. I'm going to take you through step by step, showing you exactly how to use this platform. It can feel very intimidating and a bit confusing, and I want to clear that up for you in today's video. So I'm going to take you through this every step of the process of creating an account, understanding which types of accounts you might want to sign up for, and then going deeper into it and helping you to run your books, manage your books, create invoices, manage employees, and everything else that you might need in this QuickBooks tutorial here today. So I am a official partner with QuickBooks as an affiliate, so if you want to get a special discount, I'll leave a link down below. You get up to 30% off using that specific link, so it's just a great offer for anyone watching this video if you haven't already signed up for QuickBooks, and this way you can follow along as we go through showing you how to use this software. So let's go ahead, let me bring up my computer here, and I'll walk you through the process. Okay, so we have four primary options if you are a small business and you're looking to sign up for QuickBooks. We have Simple Start, we have Essentials, we have Plus, and we have Advanced. Now, realistically, you're probably not going to need something like Advanced right off the bat, especially if you're a small business, maybe you only have a couple of employees. If you're in that category, then I honestly think that something like the Simple Start or the Essentials is probably all you're going to need, especially in your first year of using QuickBooks. Maybe as your team scales in the future, you can explore getting those bigger plans. But let's just look at these very quickly to help you understand if the Simple Start and the Essentials are going to be the ones that you want. So with all of these plans, you're going to be able to track expenses, which is probably the most important aspect of QuickBooks. It's keeping your books, right? And any business needs to do this, understanding credits and debits, and tracking all of your expenses, doing invoices, accepting payments, right? Being able to run some pretty comprehensive reports as well, looking at like profit and loss statements, income statements, cash flow statements. You can do all of that with any of these four plans. But the difference here with Essentials, for example, is that you're going to be able to connect multiple sales channels. So I would recommend the Essentials plan for anyone who's doing a lot of e-commerce. Maybe you have an Amazon store, but you also sell on Shopify and eBay and Depop. If that's the case and you're doing a lot of e-commerce, then you probably will want something like the Essentials or even the Plus plan because you're able to connect all of your sales channels. And the sales channels are simply just, each one of those different things like Amazon, Shopify, eBay, right? All the different platforms. You can also add a lot more users if you get the Essential plan, and then also you'll be able to track your time as well from your employees. So if that's something important to you, you can do that as well. And then something like the Plus plan, right? We have a couple more benefits to it. You can track inventory. If you are scaling a business, you do have to be able to track your inventory. There is other software outside of QuickBooks that I've used in the past to do that, but that certainly is helpful. And then going to the advanced plan, you can have a lot of other features as well, right? Some really in-depth analytics. But honestly, I think the only people who use the advanced and pay $140 a month for that are accountants. And at that point, you probably won't be doing your own books anyway. So for this tutorial, I'm just going to actually take you through the Simple Start plan, which with this discount code that's in the description, it's about $21 per month. You might see this fluctuate. Sometimes they have some better deals. Sometimes it's going to be more expensive. Originally, though, it is about $30 per month. So let's start off with the Simple Start plan, and I'll walk you through this tutorial showing you how to connect your bank accounts, how to do this manually, and also through something that they use like Plaid. And then we'll also show you how to manage users, import data, create invoices, and other things like that. So let's go through this process of signing up for this account here. So I'm going to enter this information. I'll take you on the other side in just a minute. All right, so now we are inside of the QuickBooks dashboard. Now, I want to walk you through each one of these different options. It can be pretty intimidating when we look at this and we see hundreds of different things we could possibly click on. So first, what we're going to do is I'm going to take you through this button up here, which is the settings, and we're going to go through each one of these, and then we will look at how to create invoices. We'll look at bookkeeping, which is very important. Hopefully, you've connected your accounts already, your bank account, your credit card, any other type of financial account that you might have for your business. You can go through and connect that. You should have been able to do that when you were setting up an account. They walked you through the process, but if you need to add any more, I will show you how to do that as well. Okay, so let's first start off by going up to this upper right corner and clicking on the settings icon. And when we do this, we're going to see the option to go to our account and settings. So let's do this first and make sure that everything looks correct. So I do recommend that you upload your company logo, your company name, because this is going to be important when you send invoices using QuickBooks. If you don't have your logo on there, then you won't have the logo on your invoice that you send to your customers. And it's just overall looks more professional, and it's pretty easy to just click on this and upload a logo very simply, very, very quickly. But go through, make sure all of this information is correct. You can also add in like your EIN, for example, or your social security number. Sometimes you're going to need that for doing business with certain clients. So I think it's helpful to look at things like your sales, right? And this is how you can set up things for your invoice like net 30, which not to go too into the weeds here in terms of invoices, but this basically means how long does a company have to like how long of a period do they have until they have to pay your money. So net 30 is pretty standard amongst the industry, but also sometimes people do this net 60. So you can learn more about this later, but basically this is how you can modify all these things on your invoices or other things along with that, like if you want to implement late fees and so on. So then we have expenses that they're going to want to make us upgrade for. We don't need that right now because we still will be able to add in our basic expenses. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And then things like payments, and then looking at advanced settings, like when do we want the fiscal year to start? Does our business go on a corporate year that's maybe a little bit different? And then also the accounting method, do we want this accrual base or on a cash basis? That's something that you should talk with your accountant about. Hopefully you have an accountant. If not, no worries, you can still do this yourself, but it is helpful to have like some help from somebody like a professional. So once you're done with all of that, make sure everything's correct. You can just click on done. And let's actually talk about accountants very quickly. So if you have an accountant and you want them to be able to see what's going on inside of your QuickBooks account, then you can invite them to view it. So if we go back up to the settings here, we can go on to manage users, and you can add your accountant in here. So it's pretty simple to do this. You can just put in your accountant's email and then invite them. So you can just plug it in right here and click invite, and then they should get an email in their inbox to create their own account and sign in. And it should not cost you any extra money unless you're trying to invite dozens of people. You're going to have to probably upgrade a plan. But that's an important thing to do right off the bat. So let's go back up here and let's look at the other things that we can do besides managing users and account settings. We have chart of accounts, and this is going to be all of our different like financial assets that we have in here. So we have the bank account that I just connected. We have our accounts receivable. We have all these different things. And this is basically going to show you all of the assets that you have within your company and everything along that line, even with things like equity as well. So don't worry about this right now. Like, don't get overwhelmed by it. I'll explain it in a bit as well, but I just wanted to show it to you. And then we have things like QuickBooks Labs, which is kind of cool. Like if you want to have dark mode, for example, you can just turn that on. We can click on done. And then if we go back up, we now have this option for themes. And now we can turn on dark mode if that's something that you're into and you just want to have, you know, dark mode, right? So I'm going to change this back to light mode for now, though, because I don't really need it. And let's go back up here and see the other options. So now we have lists. Now we can look at our products and services, our recurring transactions, attachments, custom fields, tags as well. So for example, this is where we can add our products or services into here. This is going to make it easier for us when we send invoices to basically just automate this process so that we don't have to customize an invoice every single time. So maybe with this landscaping company, there's a service and we can just enter that in here, right? So maybe it's like lawn care, and we can add a SKU to it if we want to get very deep into it. That's usually what you do if you have a lot of products. You don't usually use SKUs for services very often. And then the category as well. So you can put this in the city that you're in, whatever else, the description, the price, the average price, maybe it's going to be $75. And just plug in all of that information and save it, and there you go. So enter all of your standard products and services. This is just going to help you, like I said, with setting up invoices in the future. Let's go back up here to the top And let's look at things like recurring transactions. Maybe we have rent and it's very standard every month. We know what it's going to be. We pay it in cash so it doesn't get recorded on our credit card or on our bank account. This is where we could enter in our recurring transactions. We can create them, right? And it's going to be pretty straightforward with that. Let's go back up to the top here. So then we also have attachments, custom fields, and tags. Now, custom fields are not available with the Simple Start plan that we have. So if you have a bigger plan, great. If not, no worries. I've never had a need to use custom fields anyway. And then tags as well. So you can tag your transactions so that's easier to find them. And then also, if there is a specific transaction that you're looking for after you've tagged it, then it's pretty easy to do that. So I like having tags in a lot of my transactions. So you just go up to the top here to the search bar, and you can search for that specific transaction and be able to find it right there. So let's go back up here and let me show you some tools that we can use. Now, this is why I like QuickBooks, because they are such a big company. Like I said, they're owned by Intuit. And so you can do things like order checks for your business directly through QuickBooks. It's pretty easy to do this. I know a lot of people don't use paper checks anymore, but I still find them to be very, very useful. And you can get them for pretty good prices here on the platform. Okay, so besides ordering checks, you can also import your data. So importing your data, this happens for me sometimes because you should be able to connect your account basically just by putting in your bank account, login information, your credit card login information, and it should sync up your account. I'll take you through that in a minute when we look at bookkeeping. But if you can't do that and it's not working because your bank is a small bank or something, or it's outside the country, then you might have to import data manually. And so I've done this before. So if we click on import data, maybe we have a bank statement that we want to upload, or we have an Excel file that we want to upload, then we can do that through here. So you would just go over to your bank account website, download some of those forms from your bank account, and then upload them here on import data manually if that's something that you have to do. So we can also export data as well. There's a lot of different options for that. So I think this is really important to do every year to have backups. I print out all of my information just in case I lose access to my QuickBooks account at some point, or my email or something else happens. It's nice to have. So you can download things like your general ledger, your profit and loss, your balance sheet, and pretty much anything else. You can export it to Excel. So that's a great option for you. And then you can reconcile your account. This is basically making sure that all of your books are balanced. This is something I would talk about with your accountant. My accountant does this at the end of the year. Every year says, okay, let's make sure we reconcile the accounts. And really, I try to do it every month. So then we don't really need to click on budgeting because they're just going to try to upsell us to a more expensive plan. But then we also have Audit Log, Smart Look, and the Resolution Center. I don't spend very much time in any of these. So now let's talk about this left-hand side here. Now, don't worry if the left-hand side looks a little bit different for you. That's okay. It doesn't have to look perfect, okay? So we can look at our business overview, and on here, we're going to see some basic things, right? We're going to see our cash flow forecast for our business. We can see month to month how it's looking, how it might perhaps look next month, and forecast that. We also have things like our profit and loss over the last 30 days, or we can go further back and look at this year or even last year for the business. We have our expenses. We have our connected accounts. I went ahead and I just connected 2 random accounts from different businesses right here just to use that as an example, but you can easily connect all of your bank accounts, all of your credit cards for your business. If you haven't done that already, you can just click on this right here and do that, okay? Then also we have invoices. We have orange, which is overdue, and then we have the green ones, which are have been paid to us, okay? And then also we can track our sales and our taxable profit. So this is the business overview page. It's pretty great. I spend a lot of time on this. Usually I'll just log in once a month and check up on it and see how the business is performing. Okay, now let's go down to bookkeeping, because this is where it's going to get pretty interesting. And this is honestly where a lot of people get tripped up, is the bookkeeping side of things. So when we're on bookkeeping, we're going to be on the transaction page here for bookkeeping. And now we're going to have to categorize a lot of our expenses. They try to help you through this process as much as possible, but it can still get a bit confusing. Like for example, here's a Google storage payment from last week, and I need to assign a category to it. So what was it? Well, it was an expense. So I need to go find that this would be categorized as software. And you want to make sure that you're categorizing these correctly, because if you're not like categorizing these correctly, this is how you can get taxed differently. Because, for example, if this was like a meal, it might only be 50% deductible. Or if this was entertainment, you might not be able to deduct it at all. So you want to make sure you categorize the Google as software, right? This just makes sense. But make sure you go through and do this, okay? And then we can just click on confirm. And now that transaction is categorized, okay? So we're going to have 3 options here. For every account, we're going to have for review, we're going to have categorized, and we're going to have excluded transactions. And so up here we have our accounts, right? I can toggle between the bank account and the credit card. But basically every month you should go through at the end of the month and just make sure that all of these transactions are categorized correctly, right? So this here is a payment to a credit card, so this is a transfer, so we can confirm that. And then we have Google Storage, categorized as software, we can confirm that, right? And then they're going to help us set up rules for that as well. So I want to use the same category, Google being software, and I can create a rule for that. All right, and so this is pretty straightforward on this side of just making sure that things are properly categorized, interest paid, confirm, and I'm going to go through and just confirm all of these different things. SiteGround, this is software, so I'm going to assign a category to that. And then confirm it. And then let's say that you maybe made a mistake. You can just go over to the categorized option and you can change that up. You can undo it and modify as you need. And I would say also my accountant at the end of the year tells me, Nate, you messed up on a couple of these transactions. You categorized this improperly. And so I just go back and I change it there. Now we can also exclude transactions if, say, perhaps it was something where you bought a personal meal on your business credit card. If that was the case, then you could just go in and you could exclude that transaction by clicking this right here, okay? So that's the bookkeeping side of things, and you can always link more accounts or you can import more data if you need to. So now the next thing that I want to show you is how to create invoices and get paid through QuickBooks. So we go back over to the left-hand side and we can click on Get Paid and Pay. And then from this subbar, we can go to the overview. All right, so this is going to show our income over time. Obviously, there's nothing in it right now because I just created this account to show you the basics of this. But let's say that we want to create an invoice because somebody owes us money. So we can go over here to the shortcut and click on New Invoice. If you don't see that option, you can also do it by just clicking on Invoices on the left-hand side here and create an invoice like that, okay? So let's just create a quick invoice here. This is going to be the basics here. I'm going to have to blur out some of this information. And then once we create the customer, let's say the customer's name is Betty White, and it's a net 30 invoice number, the date on the invoice, when it's due. Once again, the payment terms on this, net 30 is pretty standard. It just basically means they have 30 days to pay you, and then after 30 days, it might start accruing interest. Pretty basic there. And then we can review this and send it to them, and it will actually directly send it to that customer's email account, and they have options to pay it. It's pretty great. This is one of my favorite things about QuickBooks. I used to manually make invoices, and it's just a pain. And so this is why I think QuickBooks is totally worth it by being able to do that, okay? So that's how you create invoices. Very, very straightforward and awesome as a service. So let me just go back here and show you some other things as well. Like if you need to create some estimates for some of your clients. This is especially useful in like the service industry. If you're like a contractor, you can create an estimate like this for one of your clients, just like that, and it's going to look very similar to an invoice, and it's very, very professional to do something like that, okay? So that is how you do all of that. Now, if you need to pay someone, you can go down and click on vendors. And this is how you can see if you owe anybody money from invoices that you've gotten in the past. So the vendors is a great thing to be aware of as well. Kind of like helps you realize where you are, if you're on track, if you owe a lot of others money. And that's why the orange is going to be the overdue ones and the green is going to be the ones that you've paid and taken care of already. So there are a lot of other things that we can talk about here in this video, like actually managing your customers and importing your customers. Basically, QuickBooks is trying to become like the big CRM, like the thing that manages people's entire business line. I don't use a lot of these services. Like I don't manage customers on the platform. I do this through Notion and through other apps. But you can certainly do that if it's something that you feel like you want to do it all on this. Okay, so that's the basics of QuickBooks. I want to get into more, but I think I'm going to break that down into further videos. And I want to see what areas you might be struggling with on QuickBooks. So let me know in the comment section below which areas you're struggling with, and then I will make a video about that specific area or on that specific topic. So thank you for watching the video. I hope you found some value in this and this cleared up some of the basics of using QuickBooks. Don't forget that 30% off discount code down below in the description, and I'll see everybody in next week's video.